Have you tried tone on tone stamping with ink blending? In this video I show you how. Hello there, Michelle Shorts here with Terrific Tags with Michelle. Today I have two tags to share with you using tone on tone stamping with ink blending and the feathered Lilies Project Kit. So let's get started. First of all, I have cut two tags from the Terrific Tags die set from Classic Crest 110 solar white cardstock, and I have kept the negative portion because that's going to help me with the stamping. I'm using the beautiful lilies image from the Craft Your Life Feathered Lilies Project Kit. This is such a large but beautiful image, so I'm kind of manipulated that into the MISTI so that I can stamp it. And what I'm doing is I'm using some satin masking tape just to hold that panel down, and also the actual kind of piece of paper that's in the MISTI at the bottom as well, just to make sure that everything is going to absolutely stay in place, because I want to stamp this multiple times and I don't want it to shift or anything like that. I'm also adding a little bit of the satin masking tape onto the actual tag so that it stays inside of that negative piece as well. I probably went completely overboard, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, and you can reuse this tape multiple times. It's a great tape. So I'm starting off by stamping my lightest colour first, and that's going to be towards the bottom of the image. And so the first colour that I'm using is Sun Ray, and that's from the Golden Sunset collection. I'm then taking a small ink blending tool and I'm just going over the edges where I haven't inked up. Now, I didn't actually need to do that for this first colour because the next colour is actually going to be darker and it wouldn't really matter, but later on it does make a little bit, you know, it's more helpful to do it so that I don't get any harsh lines. So I am going to stamp this a couple of times, this lighter colour, just because it is such a light colour. I want to make sure that I get a really nice impression. However, I am actually going to re-stamp this again a little bit later, which you'll see. So I'm not massively worried about how well this is stamping, but I do want a good enough stamping so that I can see where I'm going to add the ink blending. So the next colour is Snapdragon, and this is a little bit more of an orange toned yellow, and again I'm just going in with that small ink blending tool, and here I'm just blending out the edges. You could use this with a cloth or anything like that, but I find that these ink blending tools work really well just to kind of feather out the lines of where the stamping is, so you're not going to get any of that harsh line between the two different shades. So again, I'm going to stamp this a couple of times just to make sure that I get a nice impression so that I can see where I need to do my ink blending. I'm then going to move on to the pinks, and the first colour here is Rubellite. That's from the Cherry Blossom Crisp Die Ink collection. And this one in particular, I really want to make sure that I blend out those edges because it's going to mix with the orange, and I really want to make sure that I get a really nice smooth blend between the pink and the orange. And then I'm going to go in with the darkest shade, which is Razzleberry, and that's from that same Cherry Blossom collection. So I'm just adding that in there. And then here I can see now where I'm going to do the ink blending. So I'm just popping the tag out of that negative piece there, removing that tape. Comes off really very easily. I actually think it looks quite pretty like it is, but I'm going to do some ink blending over the top. So I'm using the exact same shades of the colour. And the reason I decided to do the stamping first on this particular tag, later on I do it in a different order, it's because I really want to fade out that lightest shade, that Sun Ray, kind of like so it fades to white, and I really wanted to see where that bottom flower bud was. If it was just a kind of solid image, I wouldn't necessarily need to do that, and I could stamp second, like I do, like I said, a little bit later. But for this image, I really wanted to have that nice smooth blend at the bottom. So I'm just going in with all of the same shades that I used for the stamping, just to get a really nice kind of dark pink at the top, fading more towards orange in the middle, and then that lighter yellow at the bottom. I really love these colours together. I think they look really pretty, kind of a bit like a sunset or a sunrise. And now I'm going to add the tag back into the MISTI, and this is where it really helps having that negative piece and then also making sure that everything is going to stay in place, because I want to restamp this over the top, and this is where a MISTI or any kind of stamping tool helps really well with this as well. So I'm going to do the exact same steps that I did the first time, but this time I want to make sure that I get a really nice impression. So I'm going in first of all with that sunray colour again, using that small ink blending tool just to blend out the edges, although like I said, with this one I probably don't really need to, but for the next colour, the Snapdragon, I really do want to. So I felt like I had a little bit excess ink on that small ink blending tool, so I just rubbed that off on a microfiber cloth, and that just lightens that colour. And then I can go in with the Rubelite, adding that colour sort of in the middle, and then also I can go in with that Razzleberry, which is that darkest shade, and I'm going to make sure that that's quite nice and dark right at the top. So I'm just looking at it here to make sure that it's okay before I take it out of the MISTI. I don't want to make sure I move anything, and I felt like that little petal there on the right hand side wasn't quite dark enough, so I'm going to go back in with a few different shades just to try and sort of blend that. That's where the pink and the orange kind of blend together, and so I got a better impression that time. So I can just remove that satin masking tape and pop out the tag, and I think that looks really pretty. So next I'm going to work on the purple tag, and this time I'm going to do a slightly different variation. I'm going to use a different lily in the set, and then I'm also going to ink blend first and then stamp afterwards, and I'm just going to do this all in one shade of purple. So these are the Enchanted Garden Crisp Dye Ink sets. I absolutely love these purples. They're kind of like a blue toned purple, really very pretty. So I'm starting at the top with the lightest shade, and then I'm going to go through all of the shades here, just adding in that ink blending. It does, when it goes on, it does go a little bit mottily, but as it dries and kind of smooths into the cardstock, and it gives a really nice smooth effect. So I'm just making sure that that's kind of as smooth as I can get it at this moment in time. And then I can do the exact same thing like I did with the first tag, adding in some of that satin masking tape to hold that in place, and I'm also using the negative of that die cut as well. And then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to work starting from the top with the lightest shade and then working towards the darkest at the bottom. So this time I've got my image at the bottom of the tag rather than the top of the tag. One thing I did find with this tag in particular is that I don't think I got as crisp of an impression as I did with the first one. I'm not quite sure why. Sometimes it does depend on the ink colours, but it may depend on the method that I used as well. I'll have to experiment a little bit more, but I do like how they both turned out in the end. So just making sure that I'm going to get that really nice dark shade there at the bottom. And then again, I can carefully remove that from the MISTI. And I really like how this looks just with those purple shades. Obviously this could be any colour at all, but I really like that monotone look. So here are my two tags. Like I said, I think they look really pretty with that stamping and then the ink blending behind. So I'm going to add some sentiments onto the tags, and I have stamped 2 sentiments from the Craft Your Life Feathered Lilies Project Kit stamp set, and I have heat embossed those. So I've stamped them with some embossing ink and then applied pure white crisp embossing powder and heat set those, and I'm adding some instant dimension foam tape onto the back of the pieces here. And then I can just use my tweezers just to help me out placing that down onto the tag. As I was making these tags, I thought about how I very rarely actually stamp in different colours of ink. I think I used to do it quite often, but recently I haven't really done it that much. I tend to either colour in the images or I do some resist with heat embossing and things like that. So I would love to hear your thoughts on if you do stamping with coloured inks quite often, or if it's something that you don't do that often. Have you tried doing tone on tone stamping? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please do share them in the comments section. So as I usually do with all of my tags, I have cut out another 2 tags that I'm going to add onto the back of these ones, just so that the backs are really nice and pretty as well, in case I want to write a personal message on them. So just using some glue tape there just to stick them together. And then I can add some twine through the top of the tags, and then I can tie that in a bow at the front. Although I absolutely love purples and I do really love the monotone look of the purple tag, I think my favourite is this pink one here with the kind of sunsetty kind of sunrise colours. I think it turned out really pretty. I'm going to finish off the tags with some enamel dots, so I'm adding different colours of enamel dots onto this first tag here. I used the Cherry Blossom enamel dots collection, and then I wasn't sure whether to use the oranges or the yellows. I decided to use the yellows, which is the Pocketful of Sunshine enamel dots, and I'm going to go with one of the darker colours or the shades of the yellow, and then also one of the lighter ones as well, and just adding 3 onto the tag there. I do apologise for my unruly hair getting in the way of the camera here. I just wanted to make sure that they were in the spot that I wanted them to be. And then for the other tag, I'm using the Essential Black and White enamel dots, and I'm just going to add 3 of the white dots just below where the sentiment strip is. So I can add those 2 below the sentiment strip, and then I can add 1 above. And I like to add embellishments in 3s. And that's the tags finished for today. I really love that tone on tone stamping with the ink blending in the background, kind of like an ombre look. I think it's very pretty. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar on YouTube and also over on the Altenew blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching!